Hey, what's up, guys? Tom Clark over at TFC IV MMA. We are back. A familiar face, but there's been some big news since the last time we talked. Rising middleweight contender Torrez Finney. How the hell are you, my man?
I'm doing good, Tom, man. I'm happy to be here, man. Happy to do it once again with you, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me on the show.
Of course, my pleasure. So we spoke not before your last fight, but before your second to last fight. You end up getting a dominant decision win, and then another huge win last weekend, actually, up in Nashville. I mean, another first round finish. How you feeling? Did you? It didn't look like you took any damage in the fight, but I mean, how's things been going since we last spoke?
Everything's been going good, man. Been really training, lot of training. That fight went well for me. Obviously, was able to go in there and not get no damage, and that's the way we like it. I've actually had a lot of fights like that where throughout my pro career, some through Miami is like, I might get hit one or two times, but I like it. Every fight I've been in, to go in there. My goal is to go in there and win every single second part of the fight. And I've never lost a round, and I want to keep it that way. So, yeah, I felt really good going in.
Perfect. And with that fight, you were talking about winning every second. I mean, it was fairly quick. Some people thought the fight went on a lot longer than it had to. I mean, were there any point where you're hitting this guy and you're looking at the ref like, dude, stop the fight. Come on now.
Man, I was hitting the guy, and then the thing is like I can tell when he was like this, and the ref was like, "You got to move," and he wasn't moving. I'm like, "Ref, like, come on!" And the thing is like I was like I threw one elbow, and the referee was like, "Watch behind the back of the head." So he kept doing this, and you know how that goes. Like when they're trying to turn, they say it in rules meeting, if you're turning your head to the direction of the strike, then we're not gonna call it. But and the guy kept doing that to me, and he was calling. I wasn't trying to hit him in the back of the head. He was like, "You hit him in the back of the head again, we're gonna stand you up." So I'm like, "I'm all right. I just got to keep punching it." So I thought it could have been stopped a whole 2 minutes beforehand, but it is what it is. I was gonna be pissed if we got out of that first round. I was been like, man, like you just sat here and took away a first round finish from me. Like when this guy's not even moving, but we was able to get the job done. So.
And then, of course, the huge news after another huge win. I mean, you're 6-0, almost all finishes. And then it just got announced last week that you earned a spot on Dana White's Contender Series. You're going to be having a big fight there October 10th. So, I mean, walk us through how you heard about this. Was it right after the fight? Was it a couple days after? Kind of tell us how it went down and just how you're feeling right now, man, after the big news.
Yeah, man. It happened the next day. So right after the fight, I'm always able to go on Spectation Sports and get my fight. And my manager was there. He came to the fight, Ray Horner, with First Round Management, and he was like, "Hey, Malky wants the video so he can send it off to Mick." And I'm like, "Okay, bet, let's get it." And at that night, the server for Spectation Sports was crashed. It went down, so we couldn't get it. We're like, "What the freak? It would do this at this point." But we was able to get up in the morning and grab it, and I was able to get the video from Spectation, and we got it to Malky. And about, I don't know, I would say about 4 hours later, we was leaving. I had already left. My manager had already was heading back to the airport, and he called me, and I'm thinking like, man, he better not have forgot nothing at the house. And he was like, "What you doing on October 10th?" And I was like, "I already know all the dates of Dana White Contender Series, so you couldn't trick me." I was like, "I know what's going on October 10th." And he was like, "Well, you finally got the call, baby." And I was so excited. I was pumped. And I'm just ready to go, man. It's a familiar name, Yuri Panvarov. We've almost was about to get fight before, but it just never panned out that way. But yeah, and I'm excited for the matchup, man. I'm excited for the opportunity. But Torrez Finney will be going on that day, and I'm getting my UFC contract.
Dude, I cannot wait to see it. So a lot of similarities between you guys. Both guys are 6-0, fully undefeated. Both guys ground specialists. One thing I did notice is it's looked like he's fought a lot at 205. Is this going to be his first fight at 185?
Yes, it will be his first time ever cutting the 185. It will be. Yes.
There we go. And I mean, just how do you see the matchup going? Both of you guys great grapplers. Is that your plan? Kind of, I know you don't want to give away the full game plan, but there's no shy way about saying it. You're a wrestler, man. You go out there, you take guys down, you beat them up. So I mean, do you think you'll still have the grappling edge in this one?
I actually do. I go into every fight with a game plan, and I'm going into it with a game plan that I have against one of my former opponents that I've had before. His style is very similar to something I've seen before, and it's a style that I see a lot here in training. So I like what he brings to the table. It'll be a challenge for sure, but I do feel like I am better than him in a lot of areas, and I'm excited to be able to exploit some of that. The day of the fight, and I'm just really confident in my skill set. And I always tell everybody, if I go in there and beat me, I don't think anybody on the planet can beat me. So I really believe that, and I stay true to that. And I just got to go in there and just be me. Don't get away from trying to do something extra, do something just to impress Dana, because I feel like what I bring to the table will be enough in itself.
And you fought last weekend, as we were talking about, and now fighting October 10th. It's just about 2 months in between fights. Are you headed right back into camp? Is there any time off? Or you didn't look like you took much damage last time out. So are you heading straight back into camp for this one?
Today is day one of camp for me. So, we're exactly 8 weeks out. We always like to do an 8-week fight camp anyway. But it reminds me a lot like last year. Last year, I fought on August 5th, which is funny. I fought on August 4th this year. So it was literally directly. And the next time I fought last year, so I fought on August 5th last year. And the next time I fought was on the next icon, which was October 14th. So it's very similar to what I did from last year to this time, where I fought this time on August 4th, now I'm fighting on the 10th. So it's very similar to something I've already done last year. And I had to cut for both of those fights, both for Icon. So, I've already done it. I've already had the opportunity, be able to fight in front of people. Obviously, I fought in front of Jorge. Obviously I know Jorge ain't Dana, but that's still in itself. So I've had the experience in that type of factor. This is not much of a short turnaround for me per se. I've took last week off. I still was training. It's hard for me to take any time off. I just love to train. So I try to do as least amount as possible, whatever that is. But I still trained a little bit. And with fight camp, I'm jumping right back in, I just got done with the fight camp, and the beauty of this is guess what? I don't have to necessarily try to really, I'm always in shape, but I don't have to try to get in fight shape. I'm already in fight shape, just 1 week off ain't gonna take you out of fight shape. Now I'm just adding to what I've already built up on for the last fight. So just continue to stay with that, man. And I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling really good.
Yeah, I know you made your pro. It looked like you made your pro debut last February, so you're only about a year and a half in. You're already 6 fight in, so you're keeping a pretty good pace of activity. Is your plan, obviously, with a win October 10th, you get signed to the UFC? Is your plan to kind of keep that same sort of activity, 2-3 fights a year, or how would you be looking to do it?
My goal every year is to try to get 3 fights in on a year. Now the beauty of this is, my third fight. I'm blessed. It's the Contender Series fight, which is awesome because I was like, man. Last year I fought 4 times, but the blessing about last year was I did get 1 fight at heavyweight last year. So my heavyweight fight, only because we couldn't find nobody. That's really, I feel like, the only flaw on my record per se is that 1-12. But the story behind that is we had an opponent that was 2-2. We had him. He pulled out. We got an opponent that was 2-3. He pulled out. We was asking all around. We was asking a bunch of guys. And I had already sold $6,000 in tickets. So I needed an extra opponent. I needed somebody, and the week of, they called. I said, get a heavyweight, get anybody. And obviously he called, especially with the money that was giving him the fight. So, it is what it is. But yeah, I fought heavyweight once last year, so I didn't have to cut. So I feel like that helped me, was able to get 4 fights in last year. Where this year, I had to cut for each one, and then that takes a toll. You can only cut so much, That's why you don't see. That's why the thing in MMA, you don't see a lot of these guys fighting 4 or 5 times in a year. You got a few that'll do it, but some of them they'll do catch weight. Some of them they'll go up a weight class, because making these cuts all the time ain't no easy joke. So yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is it does damage to you, and that was one thing. A big guy that everyone talks about with weight cutting, obviously Alex Pereira. And his last fight, he fought at 205, and he even said, "I can make 185 again. I just can't be making 185 3 times a year like I was there." And when you're cutting a massive amount of weight, like a guy like him, it is tough. The body can only take so much damage with it. So I know last time we spoke, you've been doing some cross training. You're obviously centered at Agoge here in Chattanooga, but I know you had talked about training at Extreme Couture. Are you going to be doing any cross training for this camp, or is it all going to be in Chattanooga?
Yes, I will be. Actually, just texted one of my sponsors now. We're planning a trip. I don't know if anybody been watching my social media, but we had TJ Dillashaw come down to town, and we was able to hang out with him and talk a little bit. There's some connections that Some people that I know of him, and yeah, I'll be training at his gym, cross training a little bit at his gym. I'm thinking about trying to go and cross train at Fusion because they got a lot of big guys that grapple. And then obviously when I go to Vegas for the promo and video stuff, I'm going to just train at Stream Couture. So yeah, I'm going to definitely do some cross training, get a lot of we got some big guys here, but definitely get some big guys to get up on me that can grapple really well. And then also some of the guys from Nashville MMA. We're gonna get a few of those guys to come up. So that's one thing I like about some of the stuff we have here. Is one thing that me and Trevor, Trevor Peak, who's also in UFC, we talk about is we want to bring the South up within like the fight game for MMA. We want to say, hey, us people here in the South, man, we got some guys that can fight. Like don't sleep on us. And I think a lot of people sometimes sleep on us, but we have a lot of gritty, hard-nosed guys around here, man. And it's about and if they can build up some of these guys around here, man, I feel like the UFC, Bellator ones, like they have some treats that a lot of people don't really recognize. But there's some tough Southern boys around here, and I think they need to recognize a little bit. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to go and show, like, hey, we got some fighters in the South, man. Y'all need to come look at us.
100%. And I'm glad you brought up the TJ thing because that was something I wanted to ask about. People always say you surround yourself with greatness and great things will follow. And being around a guy, TJ Dillashaw, obviously, arguably the greatest UFC bantamweight of all time, two-time champion, and just one phenomenal career. I mean, how awesome is it just being able to hang out with a guy like that, pick his brain, and now being able to go train with him, Coach Dwayne, all those guys?
Yeah, man, he actually has. He is so knowledgeable. That's the thing about him. He has a lot of knowledge and what he brings to the game. His techniques, his training methods. I love everything actually. With me and him have had a lot of conversations. He texts me. We've done some film watching together. Actually, up on my opponent. So he's been really valuable and helpful for me. And I thank him very much. And the thing about him is he's open to lending out a hand. He don't care. You might got some guys that get to that level and they think, oh, hey, I'm too big shot for this, but he's not that type of guy. And rightfully so. I feel like that's what makes him who he is, and he's so down to earth, man. He's a really good person. So
yeah, I think that's one thing. I think he was so misunderstood where when he left Team Alpha Male, there was this whole thing that, well, he's betraying the team. I don't think that at all. I think he was just trying to go learn more, and we saw he became a significantly better martial artist once he did, and he went and he learns from all these other people. And I think that's one of the best things you can have in MMA is an open mind and not staying complacent and just keep looking. So I love that you kind of confirm that too, that he has this great mind for that, because I mean, I think that's one thing a lot of us noticed, just the way he fought. He'd always come in with a good game plan. So that's awesome. And it looked like he had said something last week. Have you talked at all with him about a comeback? It looked like he had mentioned it. Is that something you guys have talked about at
all? I can't. I'm not going to say too much, but I think he's dabbling in it. I think he's already put out there in the media about the next shoulder surgery that he's trying to get. But it all depends on how that goes. But I'll let him tell more of that story than me. But yeah, it just depends on how that surgery goes, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, we could. I would be excited to see him fight, man. Yeah, I would love to. I don't think it did him justice for him to go out the way he did his last fight. Obviously we know that wasn't the best version of him. Even though I think Aljamain is a phenomenal talent, heck, he was actually at the Nashville fights.
Yeah, I got to hang out with him there. His boy Fumi was fighting, so.
That's right, Fumi was fighting, yeah. So I was able to get a picture with him. He was actually in my locker room, and yeah, so it was pretty cool to get a chance to see Aljamain. But yeah, I don't think that did justice of, obviously that wasn't the best TJ Dillashaw out there out there in the cage. So I think he would like to do better. I think if he was going to retire and do one more fight, I think he wants to go out better than the Aljamain Sterling fight.
I agree. I'd love him versus Dom, double retirement. Let them both go at it. Two of the GOATs. Let's do 100%. It. And
I'll be down for that.
Me too, 100%. And speaking of Aljamain, obviously, I can tell you're always posting on social media about fights. You're not just a fighter. It seems like you're a fight fan as well.
Oh, yes.
We got a huge card coming up this weekend. I mean, UFC 292 makes its way back to Boston. What fights on this card kind of intrigue you?
Well, obviously the main event. But also the Chris Weidman return against Brad Tavares. So, you know, I've never had an opportunity to go with Chris Weidman, but I've went with Brad Tavares. And I just want to see how that fight goes a little bit, with a guy like Chris Weidman coming back off injury. And it's already funny. He said the first thing he's going to do with, the leg he broke, he said he's going to throw the hardest leg kick possible just to go ahead and get it out the way. So I'm excited for that fight. That's an interesting fight. Yeah, man, I think that's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. Good to see Chris Weidman coming back. You're going to see a lot of good grappling exchanges. So I think it's going to be a fun fight. And then obviously, like I said, the main event with Aljamain and Sean O'Malley. And I like Aljamain. I like Aljamain. I'm a fan of him. Like his style is a little bit similar to what I do. It's more about pace and pressure and getting that guys down to the mat, controlling them, and looking for the ground. He looks more for submission. I look more for ground and pound. But he I just don't know how O'Malley gets the job done. I'm not saying he can't, because O'Malley does have the threat of the one here to quarter. And I do think, people only seen Aljo get knocked out by Marlon Moraes one time. They're like, oh, he's chinny. Yep. I don't necessarily think Aljo is chinny. I think he just got caught. But
I don't think anyone can eat a flush knee to the face. Like, it's just very few people.
Exactly. Very few people can do that. And I think even with like Islam Makhachev, like when Islam got caught, by was it Adriano Martins?
Yep.
Like when he knocked him out. Yeah, he got caught, but that don't make him like chinny. I don't think his chin is like, oh, he's easy to drop. Like, guys don't understand about fighting. Like, you can get caught and dropped by anybody. So don't bring up this, oh, he get hit one time and oh, he's chinny. Like, I do think Sean O'Malley has the power to do it, but we did just see Sean hit Peter Young 1,000 times, and Peter Young kept coming. Now, I know Peter Young's a tank. I do know that. But Peter Young was able to manhandle him and out-grapple him. And if you give any of those same positions to Aljamain that Peter Young got on Sean, that's all she wrote. So I like the fight for Sean, and he got a puncher's chance. He really do. If he can connect a clean shot, I think especially if Aljo's coming in, I can see it happening. But with the pace and pressure, and Aljo is very strategic. He's smart. I just think he just takes him down, and it could be a decision. I wouldn't be surprised, but I do. People gonna call him, oh, he's backpacking, he's boring, but it's dominant. And who's beating him? I think besides Marab, who obviously
ain't gonna
fight, which I like. I'm their teammate. They don't want to fight. They don't have to fight.
Yep.
And Aljo said he's going to 45 after this fight anyway. So, and plus he would have cleaned out everybody. And who else is there left? To be honest with you,
there's no one to beat. You beat Jan twice. You beat TJ. You beat Henry. Like, I think that Henry performance really solidified Aljo to any doubters. Out grappling an Olympic gold medalist. That's impressive.
Took him down 4 times.
Yep.
Took him down 4 times. Like, prop, dude. I like Aljo, man. I like him.
Me too. I think, like we were talking about TJ being very misunderstood, I think Aljo is very misunderstood too. I think he was in a shit situation with the knee, and I think he got a lot of blame for someone else's mistake. And I think he just kind of has this chip on his shoulder, and I don't blame him at all. But I've met the guy. I think this last time was the 3rd time I've met him. Awesome guy. I've interviewed his coach, Ray Longo, so I actually got to hang out with him, Aljo, Marab, all those guys. And they're all the best of the best. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a great fight, but I'm with you. I think Aljamain, I think the grappling's too much. I hate to say it because there's always exceptions, but you give me a world-class striker, you give me a world-class grappler, the grappler can determine where the fight takes place. And I think that just, like Teddy Atlas always says, the geography of the fight matters so much. And I think that plays a factor big time in this weekend's main event.
Me too. I 100% agree. And then also, I think we're both on the same train, of UFC 294.
Yes. Oh my! I cannot wait.
I cannot wait either, bro.
Man, it's going to be a good one. I try and not let the fanboy out in me too much, but dude, Hamzat just brings that out of me.
I know, dude.
He's finally going back to his natural weight class where he should be. He was cutting an insane amount of weight. He was losing the cardio, all that. So, and I really think, like, don't get me wrong, Paulo Costa, I have nothing against the guy, but his last good win was a razor close fight with Yoel. And I think the skill differential here is just going to be so massive. I don't know how you feel about this, but I mean, I feel like Paulo got very favorable matchups to the belt. And since then has kind of fallen off hard. And I just think the skill level difference is going to be too massive.
See, I have told this to some of the guys that train here too. They think Paulo Costa is going to be a little too strong for Hosmar. I actually disagree. Now, I haven't seen Hosmar in person. I've seen Paulo Costa in person. Now, I'm not sitting here saying Paulo Costa is a small man. I'm not saying that. But he's not all that big. And he's very muscular and defined, but he's not all that big. Like, and it might sound crazy to people, but like I'm a big muscular guy too. I work out. So like when I see big and strong, I'm thinking, okay, he's strong, he's defined, but mass-wise is not all that massive. You know, he got some legs on him. But that's about it. I don't think it's far and beyond between him and Hosmar. I think Hosmar, because I saw Sean Strickland. As crazy as it sounds, y'all might think this sounds crazy, but Strickland is bigger than Paulo Costa.
Dude, I believe it. And that's one thing. People are underestimating that because he fought at 70. I mean, Hamzat's probably going to be every bit of 205 in the octagon that night.
100%.
And like I said, the grappling skill level is so different. And the one thing I see everyone base it off of is obviously UFC 279 last year when him and Paulo got into it. People don't realize Paulo was out of camp, fought a month ago, hasn't fought since. So he had ballooned up, and Hamzat was a day away from weigh-ins. I mean, you're looking at a guy at his biggest and a guy at his most drained, and you're going to say, of course there's a size disadvantage. Come on. Exactly. But, man, I cannot wait for this fight. I do think Hamzat finishes him early, and I think this card's just stacked, man. You got Hamzat, you got Muhammad Moikaev, you got a lot of great up-and-comers on this card that I think will be champion, and, man, it's going to be a good one. We are very spoiled as UFC fans. I mean, we got this great card this weekend. We got Strickland versus Adesanya. We got UFC 294. We got John Jones, Stipe, Colby versus Leon got announced today. And then it's looking like, don't quote me on it.
Who just got announced?
Leon Colby for co-main of John Stipe. Yep. Yep, got announced today. So
I like that. Oh man.
So MSG is going to be stacked, and then I think don't quote me on this. This isn't even confirmed. This is all superstition. I do think December we're going to get a main event Conor versus Chandler, and I think we're going to get a co-main of Yuri versus Alex. So I mean, we're going to be pretty spoiled for the next couple months, if I can say so. What?
They're going to put a light heavyweight title co-main for Conor.
I think so. I mean, you can't. Conor has to be the main whenever he fights.
Yeah, Conor has to be the main for sure.
But yeah, man, it's going to be good. We got a lot of great matchups, and then obviously starting off next year, we're probably going to get Dricus versus Izzy. I mean, there's going to be some awesome fights. So I cannot.
Hey, if Sean don't upset it. I don't think Sean's gonna get the job done either. I know, even though I'm trained with Sean. Let me tell you something. Sean is really good. Like Sean is very good. So like, I don't know where people be like, oh, he's not that good.
Oh, he's very skilled.
Sean's got a chance in this fight. Don't be foolish, everyone. But stylistically, it is a hard fight for him.
That's my only hang up. I mean, my only issue is like I can't trust Sean after the Alex fight where he could have grappled and he didn't, and you're standing in front of this guy with unreal power. Like, so I just what leads me to believe he's not going to just stand in front of Izzy, and I really think like Izzy may just leg kick him for 25 minutes and use the length, but we'll see, man. It's going to be good. Obviously, finishing up here, once again, Torrez is going to be fighting Dana White Contender Series, October 10th. Huge fight coming up against Yuri Panterov. Anyone else you want to shout out? Any sponsors, any training partners before we go?
Yes, man. I want to say thank you to my Lord and Savior for allowing me to be able to do this, man. I thank you for allowing me to be on here, Tom. I want to say thank you to Peak Kinetic Performance for all that they do for me, strength conditioning wise. Gogan Combattles, man. Thankful for this gym, man. They've been so much of a blessing. All my training partners from Trevor to Logan Neal to Garrett Gross, Zane Burton, Josh Booker. I mean, Brevin Sullivan. I mean, there's a lot of guys here, man, that's on the upcome that helps me out a lot. And I just want to be thankful for all these guys that help me out and all my sponsors. I got a lot of them. So I just want to say thank you to all my sponsors. Without y'all, man, I wouldn't be able to do this full time. So That's the beauty of it, man. Like I'm doing this full time, man. I've been doing it full time for now 2 years. This is all I've been doing. No job, no nothing for 2 years, and it's been a blessing for me. And I've been able to. A lot of people been helping me out, and we're gonna keep this train rolling.
Well, man, I think those 2 years of work are really going to pay off, and I think the world's going to see it October 10th. I
Yes,
cannot
sir.
wait to see it, man. Best of luck in camp, and I look forward to seeing you get that W, my friend.
Thank you very much, brother.
My pleasure.